Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lunch Tech and Chat. We're not having lunch anymore, but I've got my friend Will here. Hello, Will. How are you doing?
Hey Andre, how are you? How is the
I'm
week
all
going,
right.
man?
Okay. Yeah, I'm a bit tired. It's Friday. Lots going on, but yeah, exciting times for AI as usual.
Yeah, it is. Like exciting times across everything in technology these days, both in your world, in the AI space, and in my world, in blockchain and crypto, as hasn't been this exciting for a long time. And I'm really, really looking forward to our conversation today.
Yeah. So just to kick off, OpenAI launched this week a new image model. Didn't tell anyone. Nobody was expecting for anything. It's quite cool how it works. It generates images as usual, but it's a lot better on text, so you can see the actual writing on the images, and it's not that crappy write. Like you can actually read what it says.
Mm.
You can make tailored changes. So if you generate an image, you can change the background or you can change just one part of the image instead of generating a whole new image from zero. That sort of picks up with some of the stuff that Google has done a few weeks ago on the AI studio, that they had a new
Mm.
model that you can pretty much take a photo of anything and change anything in your photo, in your image. It's really powerful. It's really cool how it works. I still think that both models, when you're trying to generate like real, like photo realistic like images, Grok still the best one, but it seems like they're all going a little bit of a different direction. So yeah, image generation and video generation has been quite a big topic in the last couple of weeks, and there's lots going on. And I feel like it's really incredible how even without you expecting, something new just comes out that nobody was talking about. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's really powerful. Like I've did a bit of testing on the Google AI Studio with a few kind of like images that I just build things on top of it just to test it out what it was actually the feeling of it, and I really like the fact that it's not every single time kind of like generating a random new image out of nothing. Instead of kind of like you can have a basis image and a little bit like your text prompt you build on top of the same context except that in image format. So you can keep the same basis image, and then you can add things. So for example, like if you're imagining that you are trying to say kind of like to redecorate your house, and you're imagining your living room, and that you have already a TV or a sofa in there, and then after that you can like start adding different kind of like pieces of decoration into it. It keeps the same original one instead of kind of like generating every single time kind of like a random image, and then you can kind of like you play. So of course that is going to be great news for people that are decorating their houses or doing anything like that in their backyards, and seeing how that looks like. I think that's very exciting. Very exciting from the image generation point of view. I wanted us to today maybe kind of like to focus a little bit more into a theme that has been bubbling up for a while, but that has not kind of like now you're starting to see full-fledged end-to-end applications coming into the market, which is around agent frameworks, right? And people starting to really build cool stuff with them and launching them as actual products. So I know that autonomous agents has been a bit of a theme for a little while now, but now these frameworks are becoming super super powerful. Andre, I don't know about you, but I've been like OpenAI has upgraded like a couple of weeks ago now. Some of its SDK has provided like an open SDK for agents, focusing on people kind of creating multi-agent frameworks built on top of also like some open source projects. But I, started testing it out, and then that took me into a rabbit hole of some of these other frameworks that are already out there in the market, including the open source ones. And it's just like, it's becoming really cool to build stuff with that. So yeah, I wanted to get a bit of your view on those, and whether you're seeing kind of like the market evolving and the applications that people actually are building with agents.
Yeah, I feel agents are starting to take the next hype on AI.
Mm,
Lots of cool stuff that you can do with agents. Agent is for people that don't fully understand agent, is like component you creating a component of your code that has its own capability. So let's say you build an agent that is a AI powered component specialized on something specific, or they can access tools or actions,
mm,
and then you can use multiple agents to do something. So let's say, for example, you've got a storm of agents, you've got an agent orchestrator. Imagine the orchestrator as being the main agent that will know which agents to use for what. So, like a manager in a company,
yeah,
and then the agents are the specialized people that will be doing a specific task that can be sort of intelligence, text based, or any type of AI based backend, or actions, or accessing tools, or even going further, accessing other applications, meaning even your local computer, depending on the framework that you're using, like for example, MCP.
yeah,
There are a lot of different tools in the market at the moment. So I think the biggest one is the AWS Bedrock agent. There's the Azure OpenAI agent, Crew AI that has been out there for a long time, probably one of the first ones
yeah,
that started. There's Google Agent Space. There's Langflow, which is open source. Crew AI is open source as well. I think those are probably the biggest ones. And Microsoft inside Copilot Studio has the agent, which is sort of like a low code, no code tool. And LangFlow has got LangChain, which is a React front end from a low code, no code, meaning that you can drag and drop, change some parameters, and you got agents working. So it's becoming mainstream and easier to build, and being able to get those capabilities out there. I
yeah,
think the game change will, and I'll pass it back to you, is when people realize how powerful it is for you to create those components of agents and use them autonomously to do a task. You can pretty much give them something and they will do end to end for you. And how powerful that is if you look into the perspective of enhancing productivity. It's like having a whole new team. Imagine like you becoming sort of a HR for agents, or a manager of agents, meaning that you have a bunch of employees working for you doing something, but they just AI agents.
yeah.
So when people realize that, I think people will unlock the power of what agents can actually do.
Yeah, I that's essentially the gist. The last part of what you just said there was essentially the gist of the realization that, like first time that I saw a multi-agent framework, with I think one of the first ones that was maturing was the Microsoft ones that was, a couple of years old now. Um, and that was the first kind of probably like multi-agent framework that I saw. But now kind of like seeing that all of these SDKs and some of those low code solutions coming into the market, kind of like this is really democratizing the creation and the management of like agents for people of all sorts. And what I'm talking about here is really kind of like non-developers, like people that not necessarily kind of like are comfortable getting into the code, building a full stack. They actually go there. So like I have an idea. I want to build a business around X, and they can do it today, right? And they can essentially be an entrepreneur, like managing those agents. This is really, really powerful. And I think this is starting to mature like
Yeah.
significantly. I'm seeing yeah, full sets of VCs, full sets of investors really dedicating the attention to that agent economy. And this is going to become powerful because this is not only kind of like the agents, but also like is the integration with all of the applications. So when you talked about like some of the key components, for example, of the OpenAI agent model, is that you have that web search capability, you have the capability of actually querying files as well, so actually indexing information, and you have a capability as well, which is CUA, which is kind of like control of your computer through the agent, which allows essentially kind of like an agent to click and browse and do things for you. So when you combine all of those things into one, and you build a business around that, there is a significant reduction in red headcount comparing to traditional ways of developing a software business. It's mind blowing for me, and I think this is where entrepreneurs are actually starting to realize that, and are starting actually to just focusing on solving some problems where currently existing solutions that require a significant amount of headcount and developers actually to do it. Some of them is like, yeah, cool. There is still a lot of things that actually developers do need to do, but there's a significant amount of like services and applications that were running on significant headcount because they had to have all of that. And those entrepreneurs that actually are realizing this power of agents, they are moving that space 100%. Like, and you can innovate a lot, and you can really provide and generate a lot of revenue by just doing that. And up until this point has been mostly kind of like, I guess, proofs of concept and experimentation. But now people actually are taking the next step and saying like, well, let's actually do it. Let's implement it. Let's see how it goes. Let's test it out a little bit, like taking out of the experiment stage and kind of like saying, well, what if I did something like this? And OpenAI did something a little bit further than just kind of like launching the SDK, but built on top of the SDK. They launched pretty much, I think, within a week or so from the update of the SDK. They also launched the operator. I saw the demo that Sam Altman actually did with his product owners around that, and it's essentially kind of like, yeah, all the connections, all the APIs that essentially the agents were using, for example, like for buying groceries and doing like booking restaurants, etc., and giving full power to the agents to do that on their behalf. And it's quite impressive when you look at some of those demos. What is it that they can do? And people are now kind of like moving in that space. So I'm really, really excited about. I'm starting to build things on it, even on things that are kind of like not your standard kind of like parkour demo, which is about just, oh, can you book a restaurant here, or can you do that for me? It's like with deep financial stuff where my agents become full-fledged financial specialists, and they have a deep knowledge into what is it that they are doing, and they can utilize code actually to do those things. So this is, I think, the next stage. People are experimenting on it, but now I'm really, really excited about this space because I'm seeing the uplifts that this can have, really.
I think the two things that we're gonna see in a very short period is companies becoming more productive
Mm.
because of agents, and some will take a while to pick up, but some companies will realize this power and really harvest it in a short period, and then you're gonna see this gain of productivity. But I think the thing that gets me most excited about is it's gonna be so easy for you to have a startup.
Mm.
You have an idea, you don't need people. You just have a bunch of agents doing everything for you, and all you need to do is to have an idea, manage that idea, do your marketing, and let the agents do the work. And this is gonna be like, you know, the tipping point where the world will have to get more creative,
Yeah.
and we're gonna start seeing a lot of new things being built because it's going to be so easy. Like today, if you have an idea, you need a developer, or
Mm.
you need this person, you need that person, you need someone to do your finances, you need someone to do your accountings. It's just so complicated. You need a lot of money. Now, if you've got a powerful computer, or you spin up a computer on the cloud, or even you just use software as a service for your agents, you can get like 99% of your company running fully automated.
Yeah.
And once people get that, I think that's going to be the tipping point.
Yeah, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are starting already to realize that. At least maybe at this stage, more people that have some sort of you know minimum kind of like tech understanding. But this is starting from there. So kind of like people that maybe came as previously as developers, that you're seeing that actually market is shifting quite a bit. That a lot of the basic kind of like junior mid level kind of like developer is not as easy coming by. So they're kind of like they're trying to think about what is it that they want to do with their lives. So they're experimenting with that kind of stuff. Um, but I agree with you. Kind of like I read an article maybe about like 1 or 2 years ago, where this researcher from the MIT that essentially kind of like works with innovation at the MIT said like this is about to unleash the innovators out there. Like agents economy is going to kind of like unleash all of those entrepreneurs that have been putting their ideas on a pile for a long time, and they just couldn't execute on all of them because from all the reasons that you said, all the funding that you need for actually for building a team, or just a minimum viable kind of like product that requires a whole bunch of people actually just to come up with it. So I read that article a couple of years ago and it's like, well, okay, I can see that AI can already generate a lot of things, but I cannot see yet that fully fledged kind of like workflow of actually building everything around the company. Now that I'm exploring more deeply these agents, and say like, actually, this is possible. Like the thing that actually that guy mentioned in that article, he's a highly. I'll look up the article. Maybe we can actually add that in the show notes. All of that he said around innovators being unleashed and people that are creative being unleashed, I now kind of like I'm looking at it. It's like, yeah, this is where we're going, and people that have that kind of like creativity, and I guess also some sort of focus on what is it that they want to build and for whom, for with target audience, for what kind of like use cases, etc. They are going to be able to do it if they're if they have enough, I guess, curiosity just to do a bit of the heavy lifting themselves. And yeah, so I'm really excited. I know that I'm navigating a little bit on the hype here, but I'm not navigating on the hype just basically like on articles I've been reading. I'm really kind of like I've been playing with this some of these SDKs, some of these frameworks, and I'm seeing now where we're going. So I'm excited for entrepreneurs out there, people that have like ideas and want to do stuff, because this is giving them some amazing tools.
Yes, Exactly. Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, exactly. I 100% agree with you. I think that's the time that we're gonna start seeing a lot of changes, a lot of things popping up. I'm really excited to be alive in this, this period of life. Just seeing technology growing this quickly and all this cool stuff popping up. Just for us to wrap up, Will, I know we both need to go very soon, but anything in the crypto space that you would like to share with listeners?
Yeah, there's a lot of evolution there. Like, so we all know that since Donald Trump took office, and I wanna keep this as non-political as possible, as as you possibly can. But the evolution in terms of the direction of digital assets in the United States have been moving rapidly. Like the both in terms of like regulatory frameworks and maybe some sort of lack of it. I think both of them actually kind of like are moving hand in hand. And just over the last like few weeks or so, just the news feed around what's coming up is just not stopping. It's pretty much is on a daily basis. I get notifications about a new big asset manager, a new state, a new presidential family, etc. Kind of like jumping into, especially in the area of like tokenized assets. So tokenized assets, for those that actually don't know, is essentially wrapped versions of existing securities. For example, funds, equity, commodities that are wrapped in tokenized form and launched on the blockchain, and then allowed for investment in trading and in other activities, including decentralized finance. Those things are evolving at a rapid speed. Just to give you kind of like an idea of the evolution of it, I woke up this morning and I looked up my news feed and I saw three news all in essentially kind of within a 24-hour period of each other. So Fidelity, for those don't know, I'm sure most people have heard of them. They are one of the biggest asset managers in the US. They've just launched, they're just launching their stablecoin backed by almost $1.5 trillion worth of securities, including lots of them, treasuries in the United States. And they are actually launching a stablecoin backed by some of those securities in the US. So big asset manager coming in that space. A state in the US, so Wyoming State, has also announced that by July they're going to be launching their own state stablecoin. So they are going to be essentially kind of like, imagine, you live in New York, and in New York now has a state stablecoin that is available in the market actually to be bought, sold, traded, used as payments, stablecoin. So there's a US state that is doing that. And the other one, which that's a little bit closer to Donald Trump's own family world, that is behind World Liberty Financial, just 24 hours ago announced that they are launching their own stablecoin backed by Treasury in the United States. And who actually are the people that decide on the issuance of Treasury? Well, the Treasury office within the United States government, which is essentially being appointed by Trump. So it's a big thing. Like we haven't seen things like this where a sitting president, as he is, exercising office, has his own family launching some of the biggest business within the crypto space, which is essentially the business of actually running a stablecoin. And World Liberty Financial is literally doing that. So they're trying to push everyone into that, and this coming alongside as well with a lot of clarity in terms of what is it that stablecoin issuers in the US at least they can do, what they cannot do, as some of the regulation is actually coming and passing through the House and the Senate. So a lot of things in there. I know that I just kind of like dumped a whole bunch of information, but this is there's a huge amount of evolution, and that all that I said is just the tipping points, because all of those stables, they're also being designed to fully integrate with all of the decentralized finance protocols and ecosystems. So yeah, anyways, it's very, very exciting. Parts of it are a little bit scary, because you think that with any hype, there is going to be a lot of the good stuff, a lot of good creators, but also a lot of grifters in the middle. So you're going to see a little bit of both. Again, not financial advice, but for those that are going to be using some of these instruments, buying, selling, trading, utilizing payment, stable coins even, I would definitely recommend to look a little bit under the hood to see how they are put together, because you're going to start seeing like not 1 or 2 or 10 players of stable coins in USD alone. You're going to start seeing, tens, dozens, potentially hundreds of them operating in the market. And you're going to have to know what is what, and the market will have to curate, I guess, the good from the bad ones over time. This will happen as we speak, but a lot of innovation actually is happening in that space, and I'm really excited about it.
The only sort of downside, if I can say that, is for the people that have idealized crypto and being sort of the freedom from the governments, and like the whole monetary freedom and the economy of decentralized and la la la, that's all going away. Everything is gonna get regulated and looked after, and it's gonna become in the end sort of, I'm not gonna say just, I was gonna say just, but I'll change my wording. But it's gonna be a transition from where we are in payments and money to a new state, which is going to be blockchain.
Mm.
But I think it's going to be highly regulated. You're going to know everything that everyone has done, and everything is going to be recorded in the blockchain. Of course, right now, there's lots of ways for you to get around that. But I think the more and more that this thing picks up and we have big corporations and governments being involved, regulations gonna be massive. And today you can just use paper, pay something, nobody knows who you are, what you paid for, and I think that's gonna go away. Everyone's gonna know everything that everyone has. I know right now you can create just a dummy wallet, but then in the future, I believe they're gonna be tracking where every single transaction goes to. I don't know. I just feel like I get excited by blockchain, but at the same time, I feel governments are going to take the opportunity to have higher control over any monetary transactions going around the globe.
Yeah, I think there will be an aspect of it, to be honest, but and we can probably go a little bit deeper in a future call. I'm really excited about the space. It's a space that I've been operating for a long while now, so I understand quite well. But I think the primary reasoning behind it is it's to an extent related to the United States. The United States promoting the America First, America First, framework under Donald Trump, and the United States seeing that there is a significant amount of countries nowadays, kind of like is slowly moving away from the dollar, from the dollar treasuries, essentially government debt from the United States, the promotion of stablecoins within the United States is a way of bringing that money back in. That's essentially the overarching narrative behind it. It's kind of like it's trying to crystallize the role of the dollar as the dominant currency around the world. And there's no better way of doing it than actually creating an attractiveness of holding dollars in whatever form it is, either in private banking form or in digital stablecoin form. And I think that's the real big play there. I'm more than happy to unpack that into a future conversation. But there's a lot of information to back what I just said. That so it's very very interesting, exciting, and scary at the same time. But I'm more optimistic about that than I am scared, to be honest.
Oh, so thank you very much to everyone that keeps listening to us. Put it in the comments what you would like to know, the things that are going on, if you want us to deep dive in any subjects. And thanks for being with us. And thanks, Will.
Thank you, Andre. Great to speak
Cheers.
with you. Cheers.
Bye bye.